The ballroom doors burst open with a force that made crystal chandeliers tremble. Alana stood frozen in her white gown, bouquet crushed in her trembling hands, as her fiancé's words still echoed in the decorated space. "I can't marry you. I'm sorry." 300 guests sat in shocked silence. Her mother's cry pierced the air. Alana's knees threatened to buckle, humiliation burning through her veins like acid. Then, tiny arms wrapped around her legs. "Don't cry, pretty lady," a small voice said. "You're too beautiful to be sad." Alana looked down to see a little girl with warm brown skin and curious eyes, wearing a pink dress with ribbons. The child couldn't have been more than 6 years old. "Sienna!" A deep, accented voice cut through the crowd. "Come here now." Alana's gaze lifted to find a man striding toward them. Tall, imposing, unmistakably Korean, with sharp features and eyes that could freeze fire. His tailored black suit screamed wealth and danger in equal measure. The little girl squeezed tighter. "But Daddy, she needs a hug." That's when everything changed. 6 hours earlier, Alana Matthews had been living her dream. She stood in the bridal suite of Atlanta's most prestigious hotel, the Meridian, adjusting her veil with practiced precision. As a wedding planner, she'd orchestrated over 200 perfect ceremonies. Today was supposed to be hers. "You look absolutely stunning, baby girl," her mother said, tears already streaming down her face. "Marcus is going to lose his mind when he sees you." Alana smiled, but something cold settled in her stomach. Marcus had been distant lately, cancelling dinner plans, taking calls in other rooms, working late at his firm. She'd convinced herself it was pre-wedding jitters. Successful corporate lawyers got stressed. It was normal, wasn't it? Her phone buzzed. A text from her maid of honor, Keisha. "Girl, you need to see something coming up now." Before Alana could respond, Keisha burst through the door, her brown skin flushed, her eyes wild. "Don't marry him," Keisha said without preamble. The room went silent. "Keisha, what are you—" "He's been cheating on you with Vanessa from his office." Keisha thrust her phone forward. Instagram posts, screenshots of messages, photos that made Alana's blood run cold. "For 6 months, Alana. I'm so sorry." The bouquet of white roses slipped from Alana's fingers. Her mother gasped. Her bridesmaids erupted in shocked whispers. But Alana stood perfectly still, her mind struggling to process what her eyes were seeing. Marcus. Her Marcus. With someone else. For months. "I'm going down there," Alana heard herself say, her voice strangely calm. "Honey, maybe you should—" "I'm going down there," she repeated, louder now. She didn't remember walking to the ballroom. She didn't remember her bridesmaids trying to stop her, or the horrified faces of guests as she appeared at the entrance. She only remembered standing at the altar, staring at Marcus in his designer tuxedo, and asking one question. "Is it true?" Marcus's face went pale, then red, then something worse, resigned. "Alana, we should talk about this privately. Is it true?" The pause that followed lasted an eternity. "Yes," he finally said. "But it's not what you think. Were you ever going to tell me?" Her voice cracked. "Or were you just going to marry me and keep her on the side? I can explain—" "Then explain!" She was shouting now, months of ignored instincts and swallowed doubts erupting all at once. "Explain how you looked me in the eyes every single day and lied. Explain how you let me plan this wedding, send invitations, spend money we don't have." "That's the problem," Marcus snapped, his composure finally breaking. "You're always worried about money, always stressed about work, always exhausting to be around. Vanessa understands me. She doesn't—" "Get out." "What?" "I said get out." Alana's hands shook so violently she could barely hold her bouquet. "Get out of my wedding, get out of my life, get the hell out." Marcus stared at her for a long moment, something like relief crossing his features. Then he straightened his tie, turned, and walked out of the ballroom. Just like that. 3 years. Gone. The whispers started immediately. 300 guests talking all at once. Alana stood there, her white dress suddenly feeling like a costume, her carefully planned dream dissolving into a nightmare. She couldn't breathe. The walls were closing in. She had to get out. That's when small arms wrapped around her legs. "Don't cry, pretty lady. You're too beautiful to be sad." Alana looked down, her vision blurry with unshed tears, to find a little girl with the warmest brown eyes she'd ever seen. The child wore a pink dress with white ribbons, her natural hair styled in adorable puffs, and she hugged Alana like she was the most important person in the world. "Sienna, come here, now." The voice was deep, commanding, and carried an accent that made Alana's spine straighten instinctively. She looked up to see a man cutting through the crowd, like a blade through silk. Oh, Sung-jin was impossible to miss. Tall, broad-shouldered, with perfectly styled black hair and features that belonged on magazine covers. His black suit probably cost more than Alana's entire wedding budget. But it was his eyes that caught her, sharp, calculating, and currently fixed on his daughter with an expression somewhere between exasperation and concern. "But Daddy, she needs a hug," Sienna protested, tightening her grip on Alana's legs. Sung-jin reached them, and Alana felt the temperature drop. Up close, he was even more intimidating, and devastatingly handsome. His presence commanded attention, made people unconsciously step back, made the air feel heavier. "Sienna, we discussed this. You can't run up to strangers." "She's not a stranger. She's the pretty bride." Sienna looked up at Alana with complete trust. "You were supposed to get married, right? But that mean man left." Alana's throat closed. Hearing it from this innocent child somehow made it more real. "Yes," she whispered. "That's okay," Sienna said matter-of-factly. "He was probably boring anyway. You deserve someone better. Someone like Sienna." Sung-jin's voice held a warning, but his eyes had softened fractionally as they studied Alana's face. "Apologize for interrupting her event. But I'm helping, despite everything. The humiliation, the heartbreak, the 300 witnesses to her destruction." Alana felt a laugh bubble up. It came out as something between a sob and a giggle. "You are helping," she told Sienna, kneeling down to the child's level. "More than you know, thank you." Sienna beamed. Then, before anyone could stop her, she kissed Alana's cheek. There, a magic kiss. Now, all the sad goes away. Alana's heart cracked open. She'd always wanted children. Marcus kept saying, "Someday." Apparently someday was never. "We should go," Sung-jin said, his tone gentler now. He placed a hand on Sienna's shoulder. "We're intruding." "Wait," Alana found herself saying. She didn't know why. Maybe because this little girl's kindness was the only real thing in a day full of lies. Maybe because for just a moment she didn't want to be alone. "What's your name?" "Sienna O. I'm 6 years old. That's my daddy. He's very important and very busy, but also very nice, even though he looks scary sometimes." "Sienna, it's true, Daddy. You do look scary, but you're not really scary, most of the time." Sung-jin's jaw tightened, but Alana could have sworn she saw amusement flicker across his features. "I'm Alana," she said, focusing on Sienna, "and your daddy doesn't look scary to me." That was a lie. He absolutely looked terrifying. But something about the way he looked at his daughter, protective, patient, gentle, suggested depths beneath the intimidating exterior. Sung-jin's eyes met hers, and for a heartbeat, Alana forgot about the 300 people watching. There was something in his gaze. Assessment, curiosity, and something else she couldn't name. "Oh, Sung-jin," he said finally, offering his hand. Alana took it. His grip was firm, warm, and sent an unexpected jolt through her system. She pulled back quickly. "We really should leave you to—" He glanced around the ballroom at the whispering guests, at the abandoned altar. "Handle things." "Right. Yes. Of course." Alana stood, smoothing her dress with shaking hands. "Thank you, both of you." As Sung-jin guided Sienna toward the exit, the little girl looked back over her shoulder. "Bye, pretty bride. I hope I see you again." Alana watched them disappear into the crowd, feeling strangely bereft. Then, reality crashed back. She was standing in a wedding dress, in a room full of people who'd just witnessed her complete humiliation, with no groom, no future, and no idea what to do next. Her mother appeared at her side. "Baby, I need to get out of this dress," Alana said mechanically. "And we need to tell everyone to go home. And I need to—" The words dried up. She couldn't finish, couldn't think, couldn't breathe. All she could think about was a little girl's hug and a dangerous man's gentle eyes. 3 weeks later, Alana was drowning. She'd thrown herself into work with a desperate intensity, taking on every wedding she could find. Ironically, planning other people's happy endings was the only thing keeping her from falling apart completely. She'd moved out of the apartment she'd shared with Marcus, crashed on Keisha's couch, and avoided every phone call from her concerned family. The media attention had been brutal. Atlanta wedding planner left at altar, made local news. Her business had taken a hit. Some clients worried her bad luck was contagious. She'd lost 3 bookings in 1 week. She was eating ramen for the 3rd night in a row when Keisha burst into the apartment. "Girl, you need to get out of this apartment." "I'm fine." "You're eating instant noodles in a bathrobe at 7 p.m. on a Friday. You're not fine." Keisha grabbed the bowl from Alana's hands. "There's a charity gala tomorrow night at the Meridian." "Absolutely not." "And I got us tickets, black tie, open bar. Rich people doing rich people things. You need to network, rebuild your reputation, show everyone you're thriving." "I'm not thriving, Keisha. I'm barely surviving." "Then fake it till you make it." Keisha's voice softened. "Alana, you can't let Marcus destroy everything you built. You're the best wedding planner in Atlanta. One bad day doesn't change that." Alana wanted to argue, but Keisha was right. Hiding wasn't helping. Her savings were disappearing fast, and she needed new clients. High-profile events meant high-profile people. Networking was survival. "Fine," she said. One night. The Meridian Hotel glittered like something out of a fairy tale. Alana stood in the ballroom's entrance, a different ballroom than her disaster, thankfully, wearing an emerald green dress that Keisha had insisted made her look like the queen you are. Her natural hair was styled in elegant curls, her makeup flawless, but inside she felt like she was held together with tape and prayer. Champagne. A waiter appeared with a tray. Alana took a glass, then another. The gala was for children's literacy, a cause she actually cared about, but the guests were Atlanta's elite. Old money, new money, and criminal money all mingling under crystal chandeliers. Alana recognized a few faces, politicians, business owners, celebrities. And then she saw him. Oh Sung-jin stood across the ballroom, commanding attention without trying. He wore a black tuxedo that probably cost more than her car, his hair styled perfectly, his expression unreadable. Men approached him with deference. Women watched him with obvious interest. He looked dangerous and powerful and completely out of her league. Alana turned to leave. This was a mistake, when a small voice squealed her name. "Alana! Alana!" Sienna came running through the crowd, her pink dress bouncing, her face lit up with pure joy. Before anyone could stop her, she launched herself at Alana, who barely caught the little girl. "You're here! You're really here!" Sienna hugged her tight. "I told Daddy I wanted to see you again, and here you are, like magic." Alana's heart squeezed. "Hi, sweetie. You look beautiful." "You look beautifuler." "Doesn't she, Daddy?" Alana looked up to find Sung-jin approaching, his expression inscrutable. Up close, he was even more intimidating than she remembered, and more attractive. There was something magnetic about him, something that made her pulse quicken. "Miss Matthews," he said, his accent curling around her name. "Unexpected. Mr. O." Alana set Sienna down, suddenly hyper-aware of every eye turning toward them. "I didn't know you'd be here. The O family is a major donor." His tone was neutral, but his eyes studied her face carefully. "Are you well?" It was a loaded question. Was she well? After being humiliated in front of 300 people, losing clients, living on her best friend's couch, and eating ramen like a college student. "I'm fine," she lied. "Liar," Sienna announced cheerfully. "Your eyes look sad. Like when I'm sad but pretending I'm not, so Daddy doesn't worry." "Sienna." Sung-jin's voice held gentle warning. "It's okay," Alana said quickly. "She's right. I'm working on the fine part." "That man was stupid," Sienna declared. "Right, Daddy?" "He was super stupid to leave her." Sung-jin's jaw tightened fractionally. "Yes, very stupid. The way he said it, low, definitive, with an edge that suggested Marcus was lucky to be alive, sent a shiver down Alana's spine. "Can Alana sit with us?" Sienna tugged her father's hand. "Please, I don't like any of the boring adults at our table." "Sienna, Miss Matthews has her own." "Actually," Alana interrupted, surprising herself, "my friend ditched me for some guy she recognized. I'm currently tableless." It was true. Keisha had disappeared 10 minutes ago with a handsome stranger, leaving Alana to fend for herself. Sungjin studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "You're welcome to join us." Dinner was surreal. Alana sat between Sienna and Sungjin, at a table with 4 other people who barely spoke. The men, clearly associates of Sungjin's, looked like they'd been carved from stone. The women were beautiful, bored, and glued to their phones. Sienna, however, was a chatterbox. "Do you like Korean food? Daddy makes the best bulgogi. Well, Mrs. Chen makes it, but Daddy helps sometimes. And we have a really big house with a pool and a library, and my room has a balcony where I can see the whole city and—" "Sienna, breathe," Sungjin said, cutting his steak with precise movements. "Sorry, I just really like Alana." "I really like you too," Alana said honestly. There was something pure about Sienna's affection, something that made Alana's bruised heart feel lighter. "Why did that man leave you?" Sienna asked suddenly. "At your wedding? Were you mean to him?" "Sienna!" Sungjin's voice sharpened. "No, it's okay." Alana set down her fork. "No, I wasn't mean to him. Sometimes people change their minds, even when it hurts other people." "That's not okay," Sienna said firmly. "If you love someone, you stay, right, Daddy?" Sungjin's expression flickered with something painful. "Yes, you stay." The weight in his voice suggested a story Alana would never hear. "Well, I would never leave you," Sienna announced. "If you were my mom, I'd keep you forever." The table went silent. Alana's chest tightened. Sungjin's jaw clenched. Even the stone-faced associates looked uncomfortable. "Sienna," Sungjin said quietly, "that's not appropriate." "Why not? It's true." Sienna looked genuinely confused. "I don't have a mom. Alana doesn't have, anybody." "It makes sense. Life isn't that simple," Sungjin said, his tone gentle despite the tension in his shoulders. "Why not?" Alana touched Sienna's hand. "Your daddy's right, sweetie, but I'm honored you'd want me to be your mom. That's the nicest thing anyone said to me in a long time." Sienna beamed. Then, completely missing the awkwardness, she turned to her father. "See? Alana gets it. Can we keep her?" "She's not a puppy, Sienna." "I know that, Daddy. She's a person. A nice person. And she's pretty and smart and—" "Sienna." Sungjin's voice held finality. "Enough." The little girl deflated slightly, but squeezed Alana's hand under the table. After dinner, there was dancing. Alana had planned to escape, but Sienna dragged her onto the floor, giggling as they spun in circles. Other children joined, and soon Alana was laughing genuinely for the first time in weeks. She didn't notice Sungjin watching from the bar, his expression unreadable, a glass of whiskey untouched in his hand. She didn't see the way his associates murmured concerns about his interest in a woman, an outsider. She didn't know that Oh Sungjin had already made a decision that would change both their lives. When the song ended, Alana was breathless and smiling. Sienna hugged her waist. "I wish you could come home with us," the little girl whispered. "Maybe I'll see you again soon," Alana said, not believing it. "You will," a deep voice said behind her. Alana turned to find Sungjin standing close. Too close. His eyes were intense, searching. "I need a wedding planner," he said, "for a business associate, large event, generous budget." Alana's breath caught. Yes, of course. I can give you my card. Monday, my office." He handed her a business card with embossed lettering. 10 a.m. It wasn't a request. "Okay," Alana heard herself say. Sungjin nodded once, then guided Sienna toward the exit. The little girl waved enthusiastically over her shoulder. Alana stood in the middle of the dance floor, heart pounding, holding a business card that felt like a door to something she couldn't name. Something dangerous. something inevitable. Monday morning, Alana stood outside a sleek high-rise in downtown Atlanta, questioning every decision that had led her here. The building screamed wealth and power. The O Corporation occupied the top 15 floors, and Alana's research over the weekend had revealed exactly how deep that power ran. Oh Sung-jin was officially a real estate mogul and venture capitalist. Unofficially, rumors swirled about Korean organized crime, money laundering, connections that made people disappear. Alana should have run, but her bank account had other ideas. The receptionist, a polished woman with a tight smile, escorted her to the top floor. The elevator ride felt like ascending into another world. When the doors opened, Alana stepped into an office that looked like something from a magazine, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Atlanta, minimalist furniture, art that probably cost more than her annual income. And there, behind a massive desk, sat Sung-jin. He stood as she entered, buttoning his suit jacket in one fluid motion. Today he wore all black, black suit, black shirt, black tie. He looked like sin and power wrapped in expensive fabric. "Miss Matthews, punctual." He gestured to a chair. "Please." Alana sat, acutely aware of how out of place she felt. Her dress, professional but off the rack, suddenly felt cheap. She straightened her spine. She'd planned weddings for Atlanta's elite. She belonged here. "Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. O." "Sung-jin," he corrected. "We'll be working closely. Formality is unnecessary." "Alana, then." He nodded, his dark eyes studying her with an intensity that made her skin warm. "I need a wedding planned in 6 weeks." Alana blinked. 6 weeks? That's incredibly tight for... Money isn't an obstacle, neither is access. Whatever you need, you'll have. He slid a folder across the desk. "The bride and groom are associates of mine. Korean. Traditional elements required, but modern execution. Approximately 300 guests." Alana opened the folder, scanning details that made her head spin. The budget alone was staggering. "This is... generous. You came highly recommended." His lips quirked almost imperceptibly. "Before your recent difficulties." Heat flushed her cheeks. Of course he knew. Everyone knew. "I'm still the best wedding planner in Atlanta," she said firmly. "One bad day doesn't change my track record." "I agree." He leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. "Otherwise, you wouldn't be here." Something in his tone made Alana's pulse quicken. There was a subtext she couldn't quite grasp, a weight to his words that suggested this wasn't just about wedding planning. "Why me?" she asked. "You could hire any planner in the country. Why choose someone who's currently—" She struggled for the word. "Vulnerable?" Sung-jin supplied. His eyes held hers. "Because I don't care about your personal life, Alana. I care about competence, discretion, and whether you can deliver what I need. Which is a perfect wedding, no mistakes, no drama, no publicity beyond what I authorize." He paused. "Can you deliver that?" It should have been an easy yes, but something about the way he asked, the steel beneath the silk, suggested failure wasn't an option. "Yes," Alana said. "I can deliver that." "Good." Sung-jin stood, walking to the windows. Atlanta sprawled below them like a kingdom. "You'll work from here. My assistant will provide you with an office, resources, and access to my network. Here, I have my own—" "Your office is your friend's couch, if I'm not mistaken." Alana's jaw dropped. "How did you—" "I make it my business to know who I'm working with." He turned to face her, and the sunlight behind him cast his face in shadow. "Is there a problem?" Pride warred with practicality. She needed this job, needed the money, the credibility, the chance to rebuild. But working in his building under his watch felt like stepping into a cage. "No problem," she said finally. "Excellent. You start today." The office Sung-jin's assistant showed her to was bigger than Keisha's entire apartment. Windows, a desk, a computer with 3 monitors, and a view that made Alana's throat tight. "Mr. O said you have full access to his accounts for wedding expenses," the assistant, a young man named James, explained. "No spending limit. Just keep receipts." "No spending limit," Alana repeated dumbly. "Mr. O values results over budgets." James handed her a key card. This gives you access to the building 24/7. Mr. O often works late and expects his team to be available. I'm not exactly his team. You are now." After James left, Alana sank into the leather chair and stared at the skyline. What had she gotten herself into? A knock interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Sung Jin entered without waiting for permission, Sienna's hand in his. "Alana," the little girl's face lit up. "You're here. Daddy said you'd be working with us now." "Us?" Alana looked at Sung Jin. "Sienna attends a private school nearby. Sometimes she spends afternoons here." His expression suggested this wasn't negotiable. "I hope that won't be a problem." "Of course not." Alana knelt to Sienna's level. "We can be office buddies." "Really?" Sienna bounced excitedly. "Can I help plan the wedding? I'm really good at picking pretty things." "Sienna, Alana is working." "Actually," Alana interrupted, "I could use an assistant, if that's okay with your dad." Sung Jin's eyes narrowed fractionally. Then, surprisingly, he nodded. "1 hour only, then homework." "Deal!" Sienna hugged her father's legs. "Thank you, Daddy." As Sung Jin left, his gaze lingered on Alana, searching, calculating, heated. The door closed behind him, and Alana realized she was in trouble. Not because of the job, because of the way her heart raced when Oh Sung Jin looked at her. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur. Alana threw herself into planning with obsessive precision. She coordinated with vendors, secured venues, designed table settings, arranged for traditional Korean elements alongside modern luxury. The bride and groom, a couple she met once briefly, seemed satisfied with her work. But it was Sienna who made the days bearable. The little girl appeared every afternoon like clockwork, chattering about school, asking questions about love and weddings, drawing pictures of Alana in princess dresses. They developed routines: hot chocolate at 3 p.m., homework help at 4, stories before Sienna's driver took her home at 5:30. Alana had never wanted children with such physical ache before, and Sung Jin was a problem. He appeared at random times, sometimes to check her progress, sometimes just to watch her work. His presence made the air heavier, made Alana hyper-aware of every movement, every breath. He rarely smiled, but when he did, it transformed his face into something devastating. She learned things about him. He took his coffee black. He spoke Korean on the phone with an authority that made her shiver. He was protective of Sienna to an almost obsessive degree. He never raised his voice, but people obeyed him instantly, and he looked at Alana like he was solving a puzzle. "You're good with her," he said one evening, finding Alana and Sienna building a flower arrangement together. Alana looked up, startled. Sung Jin stood in the doorway, jacket off, tie loosened, looking more human than she'd ever seen him. "She's easy to love," Alana said honestly. Sienna beamed. "See, Daddy? I told you Alana is the best." "You did." His eyes never left Alana's face. "You were right." The weight of his gaze made Alana's pulse stutter. Later, after Sienna left, Sung Jin returned to Alana's office. "Dinner," he said without preamble. "I'm sorry? Tomorrow night, to discuss the wedding timeline." He paused. "Unless you have other plans." It wasn't really a question, but there was something in his eyes, a flicker of uncertainty, that made it feel like one. "I don't have other plans," Alana admitted. "Good." He turned to leave, then stopped. "Alana." "Yes, wear something nice." Before she could ask what that meant, he was gone. Alana sat in her office, heart pounding, knowing with absolute certainty that tomorrow's dinner had nothing to do with wedding timelines, and everything to do with the dangerous attraction sparking between them. The restaurant was the kind of place that didn't have prices on the menu. Alana arrived in a black dress, elegant, form-fitting, borrowed from Keisha, and immediately felt underdressed. The hostess led her through a maze of private rooms to a secluded table where Sung Jin waited. He stood as she approached, and Alana's breath caught. He wore a dark grey suit, no tie, the top buttons of his shirt undone. His hair was slightly less perfect than usual, and there was something in his expression that she'd never seen before. Nervousness. Oh, Sung Jin was nervous. Because of her. "You look beautiful," he said, his accent thicker than usual. "Thank you. You look good too." "So good" was a massive understatement. He looked like every bad decision and dangerous fantasy rolled into one. They sat, ordered, made small talk about the wedding planning, but tension hummed beneath every word, every glance. Alana felt like she was standing on the edge of a cliff waiting to fall. "Can I ask you something?" she said finally, unable to take the weight anymore. "Anything. Why am I really here? This isn't about the wedding timeline." Sung Jin's jaw tightened. He set down his wineglass with controlled precision. "No, it's not. Then what is it about?" He was quiet for a long moment, his dark eyes studying her face like he was memorizing every detail. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and rough. "I can't stop thinking about you." Alana's heart stopped. "Since the gala," he continued, "you've been in my head. The way you smiled at Sienna, the way you refused to break even when you were falling apart. The way you walk into my building every morning like you own it, even though I know you're terrified. I'm not, you are. Of me. Of this." He gestured between them. "And you should be. I'm not a good man, Alana. The things I do, the world I live in, it's not safe, it's not clean, it's not what you deserve." "Then why are we here?" "Because I'm selfish." His hand reached across the table, fingers brushing hers. The touch sent electricity up her arm. "Because Sienna asks about you every single day. Because I haven't felt anything real in years. And then you appeared in that wedding dress with tears in your eyes, and suddenly I felt everything." Alana couldn't breathe. "Sung Jin, tell me to stop." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "Tell me you don't feel this too, and I'll never mention it again. You'll finish the wedding, I'll pay you, and we'll go our separate ways." She should say it. Should run. This man was dangerous. Not just powerful, but involved in things that made good people disappear. Getting close to him was insane. But when Alana looked into his eyes, she didn't see a monster. She saw loneliness, hunger, a man who'd built walls so high he'd forgotten what it felt like to let someone in. She saw herself. "I can't stop thinking about you either," she whispered. The relief that flooded his face was almost painful to witness. "This is a mistake," she added quickly. "You know that, right? I'm still recovering from my disaster wedding. You. We're from completely different worlds. I don't care. Sienna adores you. She's been asking me for weeks when you can come over for dinner. Your business will be managed. Alana." He stood, moving around the table to kneel beside her chair. The gesture was so unexpected, so vulnerable, that Alana's eyes stung with tears. "I'm not asking for forever. I'm asking for a chance. To see if this—" He placed her hand over his heart. "Is real." His heart pounded beneath her palm, fast and hard. "What if we crash and burn?" she asked, voice breaking. "Then we burn together." Alana looked at this powerful, dangerous man kneeling beside her, offering her something precious and fragile, and made the most reckless decision of her life. "Okay," she breathed. "Okay." Sung Jin's smile was devastating. He lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles that felt like a brand. "You won't regret this," he promised. For 2 weeks, Alana lived in a dream. Sung Jin courted her with single-minded intensity. Flowers appeared on her desk every morning. He took her to dinners where they talked for hours. He introduced her to Korean food, watching with amusement as she attempted to use chopsticks. He listened when she talked about her dreams, her fears, her past. And Sienna. Sienna was thriving. The little girl had declared Alana her almost mom and refused to accept any correction. They had movie nights at Sung Jin's penthouse, baked cookies that always burned, went to the park on Saturdays. Alana felt herself falling, not just for Sung Jin, but for the family they could become. But paradise never lasts. It was a Tuesday evening when everything shattered. Alana was working late, finalizing seating charts for the wedding, when Sung Jin's office door slammed open. A man stormed in, Korean, expensively dressed, fury radiating from every pore. "Who the hell is she?" the man demanded in Korean, gesturing at Alana. Sung Jin stood immediately, his entire demeanor shifting. This wasn't the man who kissed her goodnight. This was the crime boss, cold and lethal. Careful, Jae-sung, Sung-jin said softly. Very careful. You're risking everything for some woman? After what happened with Sienna's mother? Don't. The word was a whip crack. Jae-sung switched to English, his accent thick. The Jang family is asking questions. They want to know why you're distracted, why you're making mistakes. I'm not making mistakes. You missed a meeting last week. You let a shipment delay because you were at some restaurant with her. Jae-sung's eyes landed on Alana with open hostility. She's a liability. Alana stood, heart pounding. I should go. No. Sung-jin's voice stopped her. Stay. Sung-jin, she doesn't belong in our world. That's not your decision to make. The family won't accept her. She's not Korean. She's not one of us. And after what you went through with... Get out, Sung-jin said quietly. The silence that followed was deafening. Jae-sung stared at Sung-jin for a long moment, then bowed slightly, mockingly, and left. Alana's hands shook. What was he talking about? What happened with Sienna's mother? Sung-jin's expression closed off. It's not important. He made it sound important. Alana. No. She stepped closer, anger replacing fear. If we're doing this, if we're actually trying, then you need to tell me the truth. Who was Sienna's mother? What happened to her? The muscle in Sung-jin's jaw ticked. He turned away, staring out at the Atlanta skyline. Her name was Hana, he said finally. We were arranged, a marriage to unite families. I didn't love her, she didn't love me, but we tried. Sienna was... His voice softened. Sienna was the one good thing to come from it. What happened? Hana couldn't handle my world. The danger, the violence, the constant threat. When Sienna was 2, Hana left. Tried to take Sienna with her. There was an incident. A rival family saw an opportunity. Alana's blood ran cold. What kind of incident? The kind that ends with funerals. Sung-jin turned to face her and his eyes were haunted. Hana died. Because of me. Because of the life I lead. Sienna survived only because I got there in time. Oh my God. So you see why Jae-sung is concerned. Why everyone in my world will see you as a weakness. Why this, he gestured between them, is dangerous. Alana's mind reeled. She'd known he was involved in crime, but this was different. This was death and violence, and a little girl who'd lost her mother because of it. I need time, she heard herself say, to think. Alana, please, just give me time. Sung-jin looked like she'd struck him, but he nodded, once, sharply. Alana grabbed her bag and left, barely making it to the elevator before tears streamed down her face. She'd been falling in love with Oh Sung-jin, but she hadn't understood the cost. Alana didn't go to work the next day, or the day after. She stayed at Keisha's apartment, ignoring calls from Sung-jin, messages from James, even a heartbreaking voicemail from Sienna asking why Alana didn't come see her anymore. You can't hide forever, Keisha said on day 3, sitting on the edge of the couch. Watch me. Alana, do you love him? The question hit like a punch. Did she love Sung-jin? The man who'd shown her more genuine care in 3 weeks than Marcus had in 3 years? The man whose daughter had cracked open Alana's heart and made a home there? The man who looked at her like she was precious and vital, and his? Yes, Alana whispered. God help me. Yes. Then what are you doing here? His world killed Sienna's mother, Keisha. What if it kills me? What if I'm just another woman who can't handle the darkness? Are you? Keisha challenged. Or are you tougher than you think? Before Alana could answer, someone pounded on the door. Keisha opened it to find Sung-jin standing in the hallway, still in his suit, hair disheveled, like he'd been running his hands through it. He looked wrecked, exhausted, desperate, barely holding together. I need to talk to her, he said without preamble. Sung-jin. Alana stood, heart racing. No, you need to hear this. He stepped inside, and Keisha wisely disappeared into her bedroom. I've spent 3 days trying to figure out how to make this easier, how to make my life less dangerous, how to protect you from everything ugly in my world, and I can't. I can't change who I am or what I do. I know, but what I can do, he continued, voice rough with emotion, is promise you that I will spend every single day making sure you're safe, that Sienna is safe, that what happened to Hannah never happens to you. You can't promise that. Your associate said it himself. I'm a liability. You're not a liability. Sung-jin closed the distance between them in 2 strides, framing her face with his hands. You're the best thing to happen to me in years. Sienna smiles more now than she has since her mother died. I feel human again when I'm with you. So yes, my world is dangerous. Yes, people will try to use you against me, but I am not letting you go without a fight. Tears streamed down Alana's face. What if I'm not strong enough? You stood in a wedding dress in front of 300 people and told the man you love to get the hell out. You rebuilt your business from nothing. You looked at a 6-year-old you didn't know and gave her love without hesitation. You are the strongest woman I've ever met. His thumb wiped away her tears. The question isn't whether you're strong enough. It's whether you want this enough to fight for it. Alana looked into his eyes, those dark, intense eyes that had captivated her from the beginning, and felt something settle in her chest. She did want this. God, she wanted this so much it terrified her. I'm scared, she admitted. Good. So am I. He pressed his forehead to hers. Be scared with me. What if we fail? Then we fail together. But Alana, he pulled back, his expression fierce. I don't plan on failing. I plan on keeping you, for as long as you'll let me. Alana kissed him. It wasn't gentle or tentative. It was desperate, claiming, a promise wrapped in heat. Sung-jin responded immediately, pulling her closer, kissing her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Alana whispered, Okay, okay? I want to fight for this. For us. For Sienna. She gripped his shirt. But you have to promise me something. Anything. No more secrets. No more walls. If we're doing this, we do it honestly. I promise. He kissed her again, softer this time. Come home with me. Sienna's been crying every night. She thinks you left because of her. Alana's heart broke. Oh no. We need to go. Now. Sung-jin's penthouse was exactly what Alana expected. Modern, expensive, pristine. But Sienna's room was the explosion of color and stuffed animals and drawings. So many drawings. Most of them were of Alana. The little girl was already asleep when they arrived, curled up with a teddy bear, tear tracks still visible on her cheeks. Sienna, Sung-jin said softly, sitting on the edge of her bed. Someone's here to see you. Sienna's eyes fluttered open. When she saw Alana, her face crumpled. You left, she sobbed. You left like Mommy left, and I thought, oh baby, no. Alana gathered her close, rocking her gently. I didn't leave. I was scared and confused, but I didn't leave. And I'm not going anywhere now, okay? I promise. Promise, promise. Promise, promise. Alana kissed her forehead. You're stuck with me now. Good. Sienna snuggled closer. Then, with the bluntness only children possess, she asked, Are you going to be my new mum? Alana's eyes met Sung-jin's over Sienna's head. He looked at her with such raw hope that her chest ached. Would you want that? Alana asked carefully. More than anything, Sienna whispered. You're perfect. And Daddy looks happy when you're here. And you give the best hugs. And you don't mind when I spill things or ask too many questions or... Sienna, breathe. The little girl took a dramatic breath, then looked at her father. Can we keep her, Daddy? Please. Sung-jin's hand found Alana's, threading their fingers together. That depends, he said, his eyes never leaving Alana's face. Does Alana want to be kept? It was a question wrapped in 1,000 others. Did she want this life? This danger? This beautiful, broken little family? Yes, Alana said, tears sliding down her cheeks. Yes, I want to be kept. Sienna squealed. Sung-jin pulled Alana into his arms, kissing her with Sienna between them, the 3 of them tangled together. Mine, Sung-jin murmured against Alana's lips. You're mine now. Both of you. Yours, Alana agreed. Later, after Sienna fell back asleep, Sung-jin led Alana to the balcony. The city glittered below them, alive and dangerous and beautiful. The wedding is this Saturday, Alana said, leaning against him. I know. After that, I'll need to rebuild my business properly. Maybe get my own office again. Or, Sung-jin said carefully, you could keep the office I gave you. Work for me permanently. Plan events for the family. The family that doesn't want me. The family that will accept you. Because I'm not giving them a choice. His arm tightened around her waist. I'm done hiding you, Alana. Done pretending this isn't serious. You're mine, Sienna's mother, my future. Anyone who has a problem with that can deal with me. The possessiveness in his voice should have frightened her. Instead, it made her feel safe, claimed, chosen. You know people will talk, she said. Let them. And there will be challenges. Cultural differences, your business, people who want to hurt you through me. We'll handle it. He turned her to face him, his expression fierce. Together, like we handle everything from now on. You make it sound simple. It is simple. I love you, you love me. We protect Sienna. Everything else is just noise. Alana's breath caught. You love me? I love you, he repeated, cupping her face. I think I loved you from the moment you stood in that wedding dress and refused to break. You're strong and beautiful, and everything I didn't know I needed. So yes, Alana Matthews, I love you. Desperately, completely, problematically. Alana laughed through her tears. Problematically. Given my profession, definitely problematically. She kissed him then, pouring every ounce of emotion into it. When they broke apart, she whispered, I love you too, both of you. My dangerous man and his perfect daughter. Our daughter, Sung-jin corrected. If you'll have her, have us. Forever, Alana promised. And as they stood on that balcony, the city sprawling below them, Alana realized something profound. She'd walked into a wedding planning to marry the wrong man. She'd walked out heartbroken and lost, but she'd found something better. She'd found home. Years passed like seasons, each one bringing new growth, new challenges, new joy. The wedding that brought them together was beautiful. Alana had orchestrated it with flawless precision, and Sung-jin had watched her work with such obvious pride that even his skeptical associates had to admit she belonged. Their own wedding 2 years later was smaller, intimate. Sienna stood as their flower girl, beaming in a white dress, scattering rose petals while declaring loudly, I told you they should get married. The guests, a mix of Alana's family, Korean business associates, and people from both their worlds, laughed. It wasn't traditional. It wasn't simple, but it was theirs. Alana had indeed taken over event planning for O Corporation, becoming one of the most sought-after planners in Atlanta. Her business thrived. She'd found her footing, her confidence, her purpose. Sung-jin had gradually stepped back from the more dangerous aspects of his work, delegating to trusted associates, focusing more on legitimate ventures. It wasn't a complete transformation. He would always carry darkness. But he'd found balance for Alana, for Sienna, for the family they were building. And Sienna was thriving. Now 12 years old, confident and bright, with her father's intelligence and Alana's warmth. She called Alana Mom without hesitation, had officially been adopted, and showed no memory of a time when their family was incomplete. On this particular evening, they sat on the balcony of their home, larger now, with space for more children, 2 more actually, a son and another daughter who'd joined their family over the years. The city glowed beneath them, alive with possibility. What are you thinking? Sung-jin asked, pulling Alana closer. That I'm grateful, she said honestly. That getting left at the altar was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because you found me. Because I found us. She looked up at him. This man who'd been a stranger once, then a risk, now her everything. You, Sienna, are family. This life, it's not perfect, but it's ours. It's perfect enough, Sung-jin said, kissing her temple. And as their children's laughter echoed from inside, Alana knew he was right. Sometimes love doesn't arrive in white dresses and perfect plans. Sometimes it arrives in ruins, wrapped in danger, held together by a little girl's hug. And sometimes that's exactly what you need.